you know, the butt needs to be shinier, you know, we need to get his arm. Alright, save, done. So let's go into Unreal and start getting the import process actually working. Because this has changed everything about how we export. So everything is fucked. I mean, I could also fix the effects to use the upgraded stuff as well. I don't think we really need to, though. I'd rather have us run into some problems with the effects, and then I can redo it. Because the effects are a lot simpler. Like, we're not dealing with 200 million fucking layers with that. So, if they're still a little bit janky to deal with, then that's okay. The emissive butts. Fat sacks. This is Fat Sack Biology series is going to go over their mating habits and how their butts glow at night. It's just one of the weird things that happens in Brackenwood. Alright, this is Ivan's working on a game. Alright, so what do we actually need to do for this import? God, it's been a while since I looked at the character import stuff. So what we're going to need is we're going to need to import everything to start with here. So let's just make sure we can import what we already have properly. So let's start cracking open. Let's just close everything. Let's also compile everything and make sure we can do that. And I'm not going to check in any of these tools until emissive on the FX. Alright, so maybe I should just go ahead and upgrade the effect stuff then. Well, I mean, they're already emissive. Like the effects you probably wouldn't have lit anyway. Like for them. Trying to think of an effect that we would play that would be lit. I mean, that would be like if we had some waterfall coming through or something, and like the little pieces of water flying off of it at the base, but you probably wouldn't use, you know, a 2D animated thing for that. We'd probably want like an Unreal particle system or whatever. No, I think just attaching lights to those effects will probably do it. Smoke would have an emissive flash and fire glow, then unlit smoke. Yeah, but you'd probably use, you know, Unreal smoke or something if you wanted all the lighting to look right. Like, I can't see us using, because it's an effect, right? You know, like we probably can use in-engine stuff a lot more easily than the drawn stuff. Anyway, I'll worry about that later. So we'll make sure to build it. Looks like it built. And Unreal tools are kind of annoying here, so I gotta figure out exactly how they work. I think it says get available characters for import. So we're calling load character info. Get folders and folder. Load animation info. So we're looking for things that end with .json inside of the root directory, and character animation import is a class that we've got here. Let's go ahead and check out a whole bunch of files so we can start working on them. It probably wouldn't be that, I don't know, smoke having an emissive flash. You'd probably just throw a light on it or something, right? Because it needs to affect the rest of the environment. I mean, the emissive layer is for stuff that glows without affecting the rest of the scene. Which definitely is something we might do. Like, you could have... I can imagine a specific effect where you do that, but at the same time, if it's just not lit to begin with, then it has the exact same effect. So, I don't think we'll need it. Alright, so for the character animation import, I think we're going to make it so there's like fstring m emissive path, and fstring m normal path, fstring m hand normal path, something like this. And so we're going to get... I don't actually want to get the files in the folder. I want to get u-dashkin file utils. There's 3 different... So the normals folder... I've been writing JavaScript for the past couple days, so now all my C++ is shit. You buy yourself a 2 terabyte SSD? That's not ARG, that's awesome. Good. Now you won't have to deal with all that ridiculous crap. Alright, so the normals folder is called normals. I mean, obviously. Let's see, the sprites folder is going to be called sprites. The emissives folder is called emissives. And the hand normals is just going to be called hand normals with an underscore, because that's what we do. Alright, so we've got the root path for this character. Yes, your life will not suddenly be better though, because you have to install it. But it will be eventually better after you do so. Alright, and what we need to do is we need to add, these should be, we'll add slashes into these to begin with. And so it's going to be plus like the sprites folder. So this is just a big check of stuff. I can actually combine some of this stuff. So alright, so let's set all these things to false. I'm not exactly sure how I want all this code to flow. Like, I could copy paste the hell out of some of this crap, but let's see, this is going to be unable to find sprite information for %s. Yeah, %s, and this will be the start path. Yeah, cost is always a factor. If we had infinite money, we'd just hire people. Be like, I need food. I have money. People can do that for me. Alright, so we've got the normals folder here. Load animation depths from there, and file is not. Data path is going to be fpath, and we are setting the normal path to this. And this is copy pasting some bullshit around, which is not really what you always want to do. But they are separate code, and I could combine them, but the problem is I don't usually like to combine stuff. When they have separate functions, like, we definitely could change the logic which has to do with sprites, as opposed to the logic which has to do with normals or emissives. And if they're all copy-pasted the hell out of each other, then it's real easy to just change exactly how you load in normals or load in emissives or load in sprites or whatever. That's simple then. And if it's all combined, then you have to like pull all the shit out, or you accidentally affect other things. And everything has to change. So it's one of those things. Sometimes it's better to copy-paste when you're doing like some loading code crap. It's definitely not always true, and definitely not a decision everybody makes. But I favor more code that is simple than less code that is more complex, just because I've dealt with so many code bases that are just garbage. Nobody can understand what the fuck is going on, and the issue with a lot of the code is not really the coding that you're doing right now, it's the coding you're doing next month. And if it takes you like a half hour to figure out what the hell is going on and then fix something and break something else, then you're not saving yourself any time. Okay. Okay, this will have all of this stuff on it now. So we will have detected where everything is, and we have our paths set up properly. But I think we do have a problem here. If I remember properly, I've got this like sprite sheets thing in here for the images directory. It's no longer correct. I need to fix that. It needs to, I think it's inside of the sheet type here. Like the JSON file is there, but we want generate texture atlas. No developers, and we disagree and agree on that exact. I mean, that's something that like I personally. There's a lot of things that I do that other people don't do, and one of the big things is it really depends on a lot of people's philosophies on coding. Like one of them, I mean, I've talked to people, perfectly reasonable people, so obviously they have very good, they know what they're talking about, and it works for them. You know, people make decisions based on their experience, so you can't compare your experience to their experience at all times. What am I looking at? And people say things like, you should code to make it as, like, you should always, I think one of the biggest differences I have with people is assuming who knows the most, the programmer who wrote the code originally or the programmer who is using the program when they're working with it. So like if you made like an image library or something, is the person working with the image library the person who knows the most about the code that's being written, or is the person writing the code that uses the image library the person who knows the most about what's being written, at a later date? And my argument is the person who is writing like the image library knows the most, because the person writing the code in the future that uses it is going to make assumptions about what the hell the image library or whatever it is you wrote does. So my argument is usually like you should make stuff easier for that person in the future to figure out what the hell is going on at the expense of making the system powerful. You should make the system easier for that dude later to do stuff because that person knows the least. And I've had people say the exact opposite. Like, no, that person knows the most because they have all the information about like the task they're doing and all that sort of shit. And I'm like, yeah, but the problem is that information that they know may be inaccurate. And they don't know it's inaccurate. Alright, so that should change it so our export sheets aren't in the wrong paths relative to their export. So let's go ahead and re-export everything. Make sure it's proper. Let's get out of the folder before we get stuck. And that's also one of the things that, like, I was running my team, that we had big problems with people who would, like, we made a coding standards document. And of course, making a coding standards document is something you do when people start disagreeing on coding standards. And it's actually a symptom that your team is kind of heading down the wrong hill. If you have to go and write out a coding standards document, you have bad apples on your team, and you should solve that problem first if you can. And the first thing in the coding standards document was we write code, We write stupid code. Like, you don't write code because you're smart, you write code because you're stupid. And we're not writing code to make ourselves feel better about ourselves, we're writing code to get a task finished. And we've got our path proper on our stuff now. So if you're like, and that solves a lot of problems with people like, oh, I use ternary operators because it's less code or something. And you're just like, but it's not stupid code. It's, more complex code because it's smaller. It's like just use an if else. It doesn't fucking matter if you have to take another, 10 seconds to write out a function or something. It really doesn't matter. If typing speed is your problem with programming, you're doing something else wrong. What matters is your algorithm. So, and I know a lot of people would disagree with me on that. They're like, why the hell are you copy pasting some stuff here? And it's like, well, because it's not making it awful. Don't stick to dogma. Anyway. Yeah, Twitch app. Yeah, good luck. Alright, so we have the normals folder, all these folders. We're getting loaded. Those animations get added up here to the actual animations. And we're adding them to our list of character imports, which is this. Well, if you do such, we'll just have to issue a whole bunch of DMCA takedown notices, Lucas, and then we're going to find where you live, we're going to show up with baseball bats, and we're going to make sure that all the police have their cameras turned off when they show up to the house. So, pretty standard internet bully tactics. Yeah, I have monetization off on all my videos because if anybody's going to watch them, there's not going to be many people, and they're probably going to be just wanting some damned information. Like, how the hell did they do that? And they got to deal with me swearing about stuff. Must leave sitting guys with bats. Yeah. Alright, so execute character import is going to go and do all these things. So theoretically, right now, I have not changed the character import, and I should be able to import fatsax states. So we're going to re-import the dig only. So we'll see if the import works, because I set it based on paths, I believe, already, so it should just grab the path out of this, and I didn't change it, so it should just work. It's time to turn off auto archiving. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's why I'm throwing it all on YouTube, so you don't have to worry about archiving stuff if you want to catch the streams later. It's not going anywhere if it's on YouTube. And it's in higher quality. You can actually see what the hell I'm typing. Yeah, what episode am I on? Like, pretty much on YouTube, that playlist with everything, we're on episode 241? Yeah, we're on episode 242 now. On Dashkin Dev, so that's how many hours I've actually got recorded, which is kind of insane when you think about it. That's a lot of hours. Because that's not all the time that I've worked. That's just the time I've worked on camera. You know, so like I've worked more than that. But then like you go to Steam or something and you see how many hours you have in a game or something. And I've got a couple friends who have like 3,000 or 4,000 hours in specific games. And you're just like, Jesus Christ, dude. Like, how much time? Like, how many work days? So you'll be able to like now, like once we're done with this, like once we're done with it, just multiply the number of episodes by 2, and then go check your Steam library with the number of hours, and just be like, instead of playing TF2, I could have made this game twice. You know, like, and then you can feel really bad about your life. And that's really why I'm making these videos, is I want to make people feel awful about themselves that they've wasted so much time in their lives. Because it's not that I succeed, it's that others must fail and feel bad. That's what really motivates me as a person. I feel terrible. Yeah, feel bad about yourself. So let's take a look at Fat Sack. Well, the dig might not be the right one. Oh yeah, here's another thing, Adam. You know how this view that you have, if you double click the entity, it pops up? Switch it to perspective. Then you can see your lighting. And you can see there are 3D collision boxes too, and everything. So that should maybe help you out if you're seeing if you can do some of that. So I'm actually going to switch over to using the air rising animation just because. Not the dig one. Well, I want the dig one, so fuck it. We'll just do the dig one. Why not? Alright, so we got the dig. And let's take a look at what Fat Sack looks like inside of here. We've got the dig. And let's show our collisions. Yeah, he's looking correct. So cool. Okay, we got that. So now we want to get those normals getting thrown correctly into him. Right now the depth of the boxes are all hard-coded to the same value. If you want to change that on like a per character basis, we can. I mean, you can just pop open the thing and see how big it is. And if you scale Bitey in like a certain direction or whatever, it'll actually make that 3D collision box bigger or smaller. So you can see how wide Bitey is. He's actually very wide. So if we need to change that, we can change that, but we'll change it later. So just like write it down and bring it up later, and we'll get to messing with all that stuff. It's usually best to just get all those requests all up at once and do that. So yeah, dig is now back to what it was because we didn't save, which is also something I'm going to be improving. So I'm going to make sure to always have that error here, and I'm going to fix that hopefully when we're done. Alright, so let's go to their character import. We've got it there. So we need to create or update textures for this thing. So for all the textures, we need to grab the emissive textures if they exist. And we also need to grab the sprites. So let's take a look. We're loading the asset registry here. Grabbing everything with underscore sprite sheet. And deleting everything that shouldn't exist. Is this... Alright, we're calling creator update texture. So I think we're going to want to do all of this. I guess the question is, if the emissive maps or something else isn't there, should we delete them? I'd go with we should just make what's in the import folder what's in the game. So we'll just do it that way. So oh, nice. So you're gonna get all your puppets and all that cool shit. Well, I think... Alright, so we're gonna get in all the anim def. Where is this anim def? This anim def is here, and this is for... The anim definition file is being loaded. The animation definition file is being loaded. Alright, so we need to, before we actually create or update our textures, we need this anim def, and we need the normals def, and we need the emissives def. Alright, so we'll try to load the animation data into the anim defs. So we're also going to do like if anim.m. This is where we're going to switch off of like if the hand normal path dot length is greater than 0, then we have hand normals. And what we're going to do is we're going to have like an if string for like normal data path, and we're going to set that equal to anim.m normal path. And if the hand normal folder exists, then the normal data path is going to be the hand normal path. So we'll just ignore everything that's inside of the regular normals path and grab what's in the hand normal path. Alright, so we need the normals definition file to be loaded. So the normal data path, and we want to throw that into the normal def. This will be the file at is not valid animation data. Alright, so we're also going to have like if our normal data path dot len is greater than 0. Like if we have normals, then let's add them. Otherwise, we will have no normals. And we also need the emissive data path. So if the length here is greater than 0, we have this, otherwise we don't. So that should load in all of our animation definition files, which is give us all the information on the stuff. They're action figures, nice dog. That sounds like healthy workplace banter and shit talking, which everyone should appreciate. Sorry, so our character importer tool.h needs to have the definition file, the anim def. We're going to need normal def and emissive def. Alright, so that should have that. So let's see, what is this? Alright, so this is going to go through every image inside of our anim defs. We're going to get an asset name from image path. Look at sheet. Dash sprites. And then these are dash normals. And these are dash emissives. So all these things are already named uniquely. So that's good. So we want to basically, for every one of these, we want to, let's see, these are all image paths that we're doing here. No, this asset root path is going to be based on something else. I don't want to just mess with all these. Basically what I want is we need a root path. So this creator update texture takes a character, an animation, an asset path, an asset name, and a texture path. So the asset path is this root path. What is get asset root? So the root path doesn't change across all the animations. Was this even used, this asset thing? Doesn't look like it. Alright, so we need like root path isn't going to change. The animation isn't going to change. The texture path is going to change though. So we need like f-string texture root equals animation dot m data path. So we're going to set this to the texture root, and then we're adding the image path, which is this thing. So this will be our normal path. So let's throw these in there, some subscopes, just so we can know that we can simplify this copy-pasted garbage later. Alright, so we should now have all the textures imported. Let's make sure that that works. Oh shit! I forgot to watch. I forgot to watch the NBA Finals today. Son of a bitch. But I think there's gonna be plenty of salt to mine. MMA? No, NBA basketball. I got like all sorts of screwed up with my sleep schedule. I should have been watching that instead of working today. Fuck. That was a mistake. Oh man, whatever. All right, so let's import that fat sack dude, and we should be able to see his normal texture show up. So we've got our why do we still have this texture? Why are you still here? Let's look this up real quick. Let's see. Yeah, I pretty much always change my background to whatever project I'm working on. Because usually there's cool concept art, and it's kind of a show of solidarity with any team member. Is usually you've got it. So why are we not deleting these things? Like, let's info log, deleting, and I wanted to look up this F asset data. It's an F name, so it's asset name. Let's see, this is going to be lm.value.assetName.toString. Alright, so we're going to go through our asset map. Everything that ends in underscore sprite sheet is going to get added to this map. And then we're going to remove based on the names. The objects that we should be deleting. So let's just compile and step through this. Well, it looks like there's going to be a whole lot of people bitching about. I mean, people have already been bitching about Kevin Durant being put on the Warriors, or getting to be able to be put on the Warriors because it's such a dominant team. But if they literally sweep the NBA Finals And they've swept every single bit of like the semifinals and all that. And that's just kind of insane. Like they went like 16 games in a row, won every single damn game against every other best team in the league. That's kind of total bullshit. Like that's an absolutely ridiculous team, and kind of destroys a bit of the game if they can just do that. Like there's no competition anymore. All right, so let's see all the assets in the asset map. We've got these like 0 through blah sprite sheets. Alright, so we created or updated the sprites. Objects modified, yeah. We're going through the normal definitions. The normal defs images has got sdig normals. Texture path is again. Objects modified has got 2. We've got sprites, sprite sheet, normals, sprite sheet. We've got the emissive sprite sheets for everything in the asset map. Alright, so we're going through and we're deleting I don't see why we didn't delete this. Deleting sdig game underscore sprite sheet. Unable to delete asset. sdig dash game underscore sprite sheet. sdig dash game underscore sprite sheet. Why not? Why couldn't we delete you? Is it just not going to let me delete it for some reason? Delete assets, delete assets. Alright, so let's look at what object tools. Let's look up object tools. Fine, the online documentation is not taking me there, so let's just open up this and go to delete assets. Show confirmation. True in the dialog should prompt the user he should stop to delete something. No, we just want to delete it. So what's going on with this delete that's not actually letting us delete? So the assets to delete are this sdig sheet, sdig game sprite sheet, dot sheet, blah blah blah. Right, So there is an asset to delete. So num objects to delete is, so we call it delete objects. The result was 0. So it didn't delete it. Well, let's see, if we call delete, we are going to, I mean, we're inside of the delete function, we grab the audio manager and stop playing sounds. That makes sense. So let's load this and let's delete something. User cancel was false. Delete model, do delete. Get deleted object count. Didn't delete anything. So it didn't delete something probably because let's just see if we can delete it just normally. No, it's being referenced by all these sprites. Okay, so what's going on is these sprites here are looking at the well, no, they're looking at the other sprite sheet. Like, they're not looking at the game sprite sheet. So what is this? What are these sprites? This is inside of sdig animations. I mean, if we went ahead and saved all this stuff, then is this actually, yeah, this isn't referencing it. Alright, so we actually have to save the files, the sprite files, to be able to delete the textures that they reference. Well, is there a way to force delete?